Last question is from Kelvin M. How do you think the fintech industry in Britain will be affected by the likes of Alibaba and Tencent entering into the European fintech space?
Ooh, good question. I hope, there's two answers. The first answer is I hope the answer is that those companies provide services that consumers actually want and that they end up using. I don't know if I can see that. For some reason, it just feels like the Western tech giants have a bit of a monopoly that's hard to dislodge. They can't go into China, and the Chinese giants struggle to come into Europe. Maybe that'll change, maybe I'll be wrong. But what I suspect might happen is, more than anything, those companies will inspire maybe our tech giants, maybe our banks, maybe somebody else around the types of services that you can create in terms of having a chat-driven interface for commerce. I think that's really, really exciting. That's the one thing I think we should learn from them.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned before what I think is the three-step process for Chinese domination, which is that grow that billions of users network, and that's actually a scheme. It's the Visa and MasterCard version in China at the moment. Then come over to Europe and the rest of the world and convince them that actually we've got lots of Chinese visitors. It would be great if you could take that scheme so that we can use it. You start at the high-end shops, you work your way down, and suddenly then you can launch a product in that territory because you've got already the acceptance there. So there is, if we lived in just a MasterCard and Visa type of world, then that Chinese play, I think, is in full flow at the moment. But I think what actually opens up the market from having a large dominant player in one territory coming in, like muscling their way in, is open banking. Because with PSD2 and the ability to have someone give a third party the authority to make a transaction on their behalf, that brings all kinds of opportunities for disintermediating those traditional schemes. Because now we're actually talking about using banking infrastructure, and that opens the pathway up a lot. So Mike Kelly, a friend of the show who is starting a startup called Curl, is really focusing on that. What do these new payment types mean in terms of creating new schemes? And I think that probably opens the market a bit more and makes it a lot more difficult for big dominant players, clash of the titans, to have such an effect.
If you see everything that's been done in payments on the internet for the past couple of decades, it's been a layer over the top of the cards rails.
Yeah.
Having a layer over the top of the kind of push payment rails in Europe is really, really compelling. Definitely. And interesting. Will those APIs ever be usable is my question, but we shall see.
Ooh, that feels like we're finishing on a dark point, like a negative. You've brought me down.
I'm a dark guy. Zoe.
Yeah, that's all we've got time for today. I hope you'll tune in next week at the same time. If you do have questions, it's www.fintechinsidernews.com. Please keep them coming, and thank you for your questions today. See you.